Okay, this is the PowerPoint study of the book of Esther in the Old Testament. And we are on part 3 of the videos. But we are in chapter number 2 of the book of Esther. And you can read chapter number 2, verses 15 to 18. Pause the video and read this. Now, there's about a 4-year period of time towards the disposing of Vashti and the crowning of Esther as queen. Now, once again, just a reminder, we don't know what happened to Queen Vashti. Many think she was just executed. She's off the stage of history. But it would certainly be very interesting if her life continued and we had some information about it. So you have about a 4-year wait time. And in that 4-year wait time, King Xerxes, also known as King Ahasuerus, is experiencing great military defeats against the Greeks. The Persians aren't doing too well trying to conquer the Greeks. So now you can read chapter 2, verses 19 to 23. Now there's an assassination plot, and Mordecai will be placed strategically by God. Now remember, a lot of this is inferred in the book, that Mordecai is right in the position, the time and the place to uncover a plot to kill the king. Now, it's not by accident, it's not by coincidence. It is by providence that he is where he is on that particular day and that particular time. I want you to think about some times in your life when you were at a certain point, at a certain time, a certain location, and with a certain person. And it was an impact on your life. You say, well, that was coincidence. No. You say it was just circumstances, just so happened. No. It happened because God wanted it to happen. And God so arranged it so that that encounter would take place and something significant in your life would happen in the development of your Christian faith. Now he will report this to Esther, and then Esther to the king. So the information goes from Mordecai to Esther, and then from Esther to the king. Now nothing significant really happens at that particular time, except a clerk will document this and record it in the annals of the palace for the king. Now this is going to come out to be very, very important later in the book of Esther. It's really something because at least once in my 42 years, something happened that I needed to be prepared to have it documented. It never really needed to go before anybody, but I had to be ready in case it needed to. So I had to write everything down as carefully as I could and then have it ready in the event that there would be some ramifications beyond my control. And documentation is extremely vital in our world today. When something happens that could have serious ramifications down the road. So you'll hear that every now and then from a boss to a worker. Document that. Write it down, and get some witnesses and all that kind of thing. So this is documented now in the annals of the palace where the king resides. The plot to kill the king. Now, plots were not uncommon, especially against Persian monarchs. In fact, Xerxes will be assassinated in his bedroom in a similar situation in a conspiracy led by his chiliarch Artabanus. Now, don't let that word chiliarch frighten you. It comes from two words, chile, and it means 1,000. Arch means rule or ruler, a ruler of 1,000. So it would have been some type of general who was in charge in the military over 1,000 men. It might be like saying something like a 4-star general. Military coup will take out Xerxes in 465 BC. Now, this is not the plot that's documented by Mordecai, okay, because that's going to get taken care of later in the book. So I want to clarify that. It is not the plot that Mordecai documents in the annals of the royal palace. So now we're ready for chapter number 3. We'll read chapter 3, verses 1 to 6. Now Haman is honored, and Mordecai refuses to pay Haman homage. I had to stop there for just a minute and get my H's right. Haman homage. Now, it was expected that people would bow down. Now, if you're a pagan, that may not be a problem. But as a Jew, they are under the 10 Commandments, in particular the first 2 commandments. There's no other God to be worshipped. There's to be no idol. So Mordecai, as a practicing Jew, cannot and will not pay Haman homage by bowing down to him. Now this enrages Haman. And Haman will get so enraged that he will have a plot to annihilate all the Jews. Genocide. Genocide. That word genocide comes from 2 words. Genos, seed, side, kill. Kill the seed. Kill everyone. So it enrages Haman. Anger. By the way, we're now living in a day and age where anger levels have risen tremendously. Tremendously. In fact, I was in a church one time where someone was so angry that I thought if they had a gun, they possibly could have shot and killed me. That's how enraged the person was. That's a whole nother story and a whole nother situation. But we are living in days of Haman, where people are not just a little bit upset, they go into rages. And the rages are going to get so severe, they will do harm. And some of this is already being seen today in different things that are happening. Now Haman is the son of an Agagite, and the Agagites were descendants of Amalekite king Agag. And Agag was a sworn enemy of Israel during Saul's reign. Now you can look that up in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 7 to 33. In other words, the rage that Haman is having is more like a generational rage, that he's going all the way back in time, and he's remembering how the Agagites were treated, and how they were sworn enemies of the Israelites, and he now wants to take vengeance for not just one little act of Mordecai not bowing down. He wants to take vengeance for the entire race. The Amalekites were enemies of Israel. Now there's your scriptures. You can look them up. Exodus 17, Numbers 24, and Deuteronomy 25. And Saul failed to destroy the Amalekites as God instructed him. So consequently, the kingdom was taken from Saul. In other words, Saul goofed up, king of Israel. So the hatred, the hostility was present when Mordecai didn't bow down to Haman. So it's a much bigger thing than just one act of one man not bowing down. The writer may be informing the reader subtly that the ancient feud between the Amalekites and the Israelites has been inherited by Haman, a descendant of Agag, and Mordecai, a descendant of Saul. You know, in America, we had the so-called Hatfields and McCoys living out generational battles. And I recall in my first church, there was somewhat of a generational battle between two families. I was just out of seminary and was in a little church in the country, and I had never ever encountered this concept of family feuds, and the family feuds entering into church life. So it's a family feud coming to fruition right before our eyes in the book of Esther. So Haman will carry out his threats, and he's arranging for a day to slaughter the Jews. Now he will cast Pur, P-U-R, and this is the origin of the Feast of Purim. He will cast a lot to determine the day for the slaughter of the Jews. In other words, what day should we kill everybody? Well, let's cast some lots and find out. So Israel used the casting of lots to determine God's will. Now, nobody's entirely sure how this worked. Whether it was something like casting dice or something like drawing sticks or whatever. The idea is that he wants some, quote, divine help to tell him when to bring about genocide. Now, of course, the type of help he's seeking is called divination in the world of the occult. In other words, the devil's the one that's helping him. The devil's the one that's helping him. But when Israel does it, it's not the devil, it's God. Now, the exact nature and manner of casting lots is unknown. So Haman persuades the king. He basically says, King, we need to annihilate all these Jews. So the king just signs it over, rubber stamps it. If this is what my advisor says, this is what we do. Now, in a lot of ways, he was probably very detached from things, didn't do much thinking on his own, and just went along with it. Now, that's the problem today. People are just going along with things. They're not standing up. They're not thinking. Now, the Holocaust during the reign of Hitler is very similar to the story of Haman and the king. So you can see a great parallel here, that the whole idea of a Holocaust is nothing new. In fact, it comes right out of the book of Esther. So we are now ready for chapter number 4, and I think I will stop the video right here, and we will start chapter number 4 in the next video. Thank you for watching.